related topics. You can write it down. We will try to resolve it now, but if we cannot give you satisfactory reply or you need more further explanation, you can write it to us, mail it to us, and we'll give you a reply on your respective mails. Okay, now I'll start. So here, maintenance of records. These are the legal provisions first. I would like to inform you about Section 35 of the CSG State Accounts and Other Records. I'm not going to read it out since you can find it on the Google and it's just a legal provision. So main thing is I want to inform you about it that before doing any GST related works, you should know the legal provisions in regard to the matter or contravention you can make. Either you can neglect. So this is section 35 of, I'll just read it out few lines. Every registered person shall keep a maintain and principal place of business as mentioned in the certificate of registration and true correct account of. So you will keep a record of production of manufacturing of goods, inward outer supplies. Inward supplies means your purchases, whatever you purchase. Okay, so whatever you purchase and whatever you supply. Outer supplies means whatever you sell. You must have heard the term in while return filing session. Okay, GSTR 2A or 2B comprises of this inward supplies on which you claim the ITCs, and outer supplies either through B2B supplies or B2C, business to business or business to consumers. If you are supplying locally in Mizoram, you will do the B2C supplies. If you are doing interstate businesses, like if you are supplying goods or services from Mizoram to outer states like Assam or maybe any other states, so it will be termed as B2B supplies and intrastate supplies. So there in your freedom filing you have to mention all these things. The stock of goods, stock register. Since you are doing the business, let's say you have a retail shop or a departmental store or any kind of things, you should be knowing your stock on which you will be applying for more purchases or sales. You must have this record as well with you. Input tax credit availability. The supplies that you are receiving, any supplies you are receiving, any goods, be it any shop, retail shop, mobile shop, any shop, whatever you are receiving, you have to be careful about claiming ITC on those as well, because not everything is you can claim ITC on. So I'll just give you a general example. Like in hospital services, most of the hospital services or clinical services are exempted. Like what do you say? Like I heard that CT machine scan, the CT scans, this machinery, if you buy it for hospitals, you cannot claim ITC on that. You are not selling it, you are just using it. And since when showing it as you perform some CT scan and all these things, you will not fill it in like outward supplies. You will fill it in your exempted supplies. Exempted in GSTR1 while filed in GSTR1. So you are not going to pay any tax on that. So you cannot claim ITC on that. So just wanted to clear some general misconceptions about these things. Outward tax payable and tax paid. Same thing. Outer supplies, if you keep track of, you should maintain your record of whatever you outward tax pay. Let's say in any month let's say you supply 1 lakh of goods and it's 10% taxable. So whatever tax you are paying, either you are maintaining by yourself or your CA is maintaining. Since anytime it can be asked, I'll give you the tax. I'll give you the duration till which at least the document has to be. You should keep it. So you should keep track of it. Such record provided all these things. So these things are legal provisions. So I'll go to the next page. Now, this is section 36 of CGST Act. It shows till how much time you have to keep the record. There is a specific time that the record has to be kept. Or otherwise you will say, means people can say that it's been 3 years, we don't have our records and all these things. But the documentation, when it is asked, it is your responsibility to provide it actually. So section 33 period of retention of accounts. Every registered person required to maintain book of accounts or other records in accordance with the provisions of section 1 of section 35, previous section, shall retain them until the expiry of 72 months. 72 months means 6 years from the date of furnishing of annual return of the year pertaining to such accounts and record. Means ultimately you have to keep the records for 7 years, almost 7 years. Let's say if you are for the current financial year 25-26, last filing will be March 27, sorry, current financial year is 26-27. Last financial year is last filing month will be March 27. So December 27. So and March filing return is the last filing return of that current financial year, and the GSTR 9 filing annual return you will be filing till, let's say, almost generally in 31st of December of 27. So from that date till 6 years. So you can say almost 7 years you have to keep the record. And it's better to keep your record month-wise, segregated month-wise, and it should be separate. Purchases separate, sales separate. You should keep at least this thing. So I'll go to the next page. Now, contraventions. See, these are legal provisions. If you are not able to keep the record or something, record for the current record for the financial years, this contravention will be there if you break any law regarding this. Section 122 of the CGST Act, penalty for certain offences where taxable person who, as per subsection 1 and clause 10, falsifies or substantial records or produces fake accounts or document or furnishes false information or written with an intention to evade payment. If you do it deliberately, he shall be liable to pay of 10,000 rupees or an amount equivalent to the tax evaded. So, minimum, whichever, or the tax not deducted under section 51. Section 51 is TDS deduction, like contractual work, they must have tell you about, or short deducted but not paid to the government, or tax not collected under section 52. Section 52 comprises of TCS. If you are a e-commerce business has to, they mandatorily have to get this TCS registration and deduct the tax collection at source. See, now the tax won't be paid by your vendors. It will be paid by you. You will collect it from them and you will pay on their behalf. Okay. So, or short collected or collected but not paid to the government, or input tax credit availed or passed on or distributed irregularly. You cannot file forced returns as well. You should not file. Like you cannot just put any GSTN number and pass on fake ITC or pass on any ITC for which you are not supplying any goods. These are the legal provisions. Any contravention you make, it will be penalized. Also, subclause 14 fails to maintain record book of accounts or other documents in accordance with the provision of this act or made thereunder. Means if you fail to furnish the record when it is asked, if a tax officer asks for any documentation, record keeping documentation, he can penalize you on this behalf, since it's contravention of section 35 and 36. So now I'll go to the FAQ. I'll try to clarify some of the questions of yours. So now, who is required to maintain records under GSTN? So every registered person under GST is required to maintain specific accounts and records at their principal place of business. Principal place of business means like you are having multiple place of businesses. You are expanding your business. You have one shop here. Your main shop is in Aizawl. Now you have opened one more shop with the same GSTIN in additional place of business in Lunglei or Champhai. You have to mention in your GSTIN, okay, additional place of business. So that way, and separate record is to be kept for separate place of businesses. But it will be compiled at one and it will be filed from Aizawl only, your main place, principal place of business. What records are required to be maintained under GST? Section 35 I already told you, you can go through it. Some of the things I will tell you. Production or manufacture of goods, inward and outward supply, stock of goods, input tax credit, I think I have explained it to you. So, I'll go to the. How long should the GST records be retained? As per section 36, I told you. Record must be retained for 72 months, 6 years from the due date of furnishing of the annual returns of the financial year. Now, can record be maintained in electronic form, not in registers? Means people might be comfortable with registers, or they are familiar with PC work, Excel work. So, if you are having the GST law allows maintenance of records, accounts and records in electronic format, provided they are accessible and usable for subsequent references. Means it should be readily available whenever it is asked. So, be it physical copy or hard copy, it should be readily available with you. So, is there a requirement to maintain records separately for each place of businesses? If a taxpayer has more than one place of business as per GST registration certificate, like I told you about additional place of businesses, okay, separate record must be retained for each location, and it's while compiling, it should match it with your final return when you furnish your GSTR1, or declare your authored liability for a month and you pay tax accordingly. If compiled, it should be exact. It should match. What happens if a registered person fails to maintain the required records? Same thing. Failure to maintain proper records may lead to penalty under section 122, tax liability estimation. If you are selling goods and not maintaining records, and inward supplies are there, the tax officer can estimate it and penalize you accordingly. Okay. Now, is it mandatory for transporter or warehouse operators to maintain records? If any new restaurants are here who are going to be a transporter or warehouse operators, transporter means you carry goods for other behalf and move it from here to there, and warehouse operators like like an e-commerce operator like Flipkart and all these things, they have their warehouses as well. So type of activity carried out by the GSTINs, if it's a warehouse operator, maintain records. So transporter and warehouse operators must maintain records of consignor, consignee, goods transported, stored, or movement details, even if they are not registered under GSTIN. Means, even if you are moving goods for unregistered person, you should maintain records as per that, since you are providing a warehouse services or this transporter services. So these services are taxable. Since you are taxable, you are required to maintain a record. If it's a B2B transaction, like if you are sending if you are registered from here in Assam and like some other guy are registered in Mizoram, so if they cannot send it by their own mode of transportation, they will hire someone. They will hire a transporter, and they will supply goods on your behalf to him. So that way, transporter in B2B is easier to track, but transporters, particularly, even if they are not registered, they have to keep their records. Are there any specific book of accounts prescribed in the GST? GST law does not prescribe specific formats, but it is mandatory to maintain all necessary records for verification. Common book includes same thing: purchase sales, stock register, tax liability, payment register, input tax credit. And in regard to this, I would just like to confirm you, would like to inform you about how to maintain register. Since it's not directly mentioned here, I'll just in addition to that, I'll tell you, when you maintain a record, okay, it should be it should be bifurcated into CGST, SGST, IGST. You cannot just say that 1 lakh is the taxable value, 12% is the tax. So 12,000 is the tax. It doesn't work like that. So you should keep it like that. If it's interest rate supply, half of supply is interest rate. So on 50,000, 12% supply is there, 6,000 rupees. 6,000 rupees of IGST and 50,000 rupees is of Mizoram supply. So 50,000 rupees, 12, 6,000, 3,000 CGST, 3,000 SGST. It should be bifurcated. CGST, IGST, SGST, cess. These are the components of the tax. Cess are not normal for for normal taxpayers. Cess are for specific products like tobacco products or cars, car manufacturer. If you're a car dealer, you will be paying cess. Otherwise, for a normal retailer shop, there won't be any cess on that. So, I'll move it to that. Now, issuance of GST invoice. This is here one of the main purpose of our training session is that our issuance of GST invoice, not cash memo. People here are using cash memo, very frequently, but it's not it's not compliant to the GST. GST invoice. What is GST invoice? GST invoice is a bill or receipt of items sent or services that the seller or services provide offers to a customer. It specifically lists out the services products along with the total amount due. One can check a GST invoice to determine said product or services before CGST and SGST are divided on them. Means in your GST invoice, nature of description of goods will be there. What type of goods are there? It will be bifurcated. Like HSN should be mentioned, must be mentioned. HSN. HSN stands for means there is a special numbers that are given to specific products. And for services as well. Or if it's a services, then SSC code will be there. Service accounting code. It will be there. So like for work contract, there is a specific number for construction work. Means at least 4 digit. 4 digits you should put. Like construction work 9954 is the SSC code, service accounting code, since it's a service. Like renting of if you have a travel agency, you are renting vehicles for movement as well, or you like PVC rental as well. They are renting out cars. So in these cases also you should be very careful about ITC as well. If you are going to avail ITC for this, then you will claim I think 12% for outward supplies. But if you supply to any offices, any government offices, then it will be 5% taxable. Since you are not using it on further, other person can also use your rental cars for further process. So there is a specific guideline for claiming ITC on those as well. Now, prescribed GST formats. These are the legal provisions again, as per section 266 of the Central Codes. This section you can go through it. Okay. Legal provision. If I read it out, it might sound too formal. Okay. You can write down the sections and go through it on your own. Section 2 of 66 of CGST Act 2017, and this refers to section 31 as well. So now I'll go to the next page. A GST tax invoice must include the following particulars. Okay, one by one I'll read it out. GST name, address of the supplier issuing the GST invoice. Since in this case, in this scenario, you are taxpayer, and suppose we are consumers. When you go buy anything from a shop, at least from like departmental store, they give you a proper bill. Means what details should be mentioned on a bill. This is what it is. Okay. Date of issuance, date of invoice. When you are generating it, you are buying it today. You cannot say you generated it yesterday. It should be on the same date when the supply of goods are made, goods or services are made. A unique serial number not exceeding 16 digit. Unique serial number means invoice number should be a unique one, and there should be a format for which you can track. Like suppose if it's a financial year 25-26 invoice, like INV /25-26 010203, and you can carry on with that. Or you can segregate it by month as well, 22-23-04 for April month, and then you can go through it. Okay. So there should be a unique invoice sequence that you should use for your GST invoices. Okay. In the case of registered recipient, bill should also include the name, GSTN and address of the recipient. Yes. If you are issuing a B2B invoice, business to business invoice, which will be reflecting in your B2B while filing your GSTR1, it will your ITC. You are passing on ITC to the other person. If you are using a business to business invoice, you have to mention his GSTIN. At least GSTIN you have to mention. GSTIN, name and address from where you are supplying, so that it can be verified Like if you are supplying interest rates, your IGC is going interest, IGST is being passed on, or CGST or SGST is being passed on. A complete description of all services or goods provided, as I said, with HSN code. As I said, any kind of goods, be it chair, mobile, water bottles, anything, if you are registered, there is a specific code for that, and you can search it on GST portal as well. There is a help and taxpayer facilities there. From there you can search any kinds of, you just have to type the goods name, either it be it a dairy product or AC or mobile equipment, electrical equipment, anything like that. You can search their name and you can find out their HSN code and their tax and their tax rates. There are four kinds of tax rates are there: 5%, 12%, 18%, and 28%. Apart from cess, cess varies very differently. Like when you buy a vehicle, it depends on its size. On commercial vehicle, I don't think there is any cess. Commercial vehicles like campers and all these things, they don't have any cess portion. But if you buy a big vehicle, it depends on their size. There is a specific guidelines given from the government, and as per that, cess portions are given. And tobacco products also, there are cess on that as well. Amount of discount applicable on these taxes. If you are giving any, if they have ordered any in bulk, and you have given any discount on that, so after discounting, after calculating the discount, then the taxable value comes on that portion you have to pay the tax, not on the original one after giving discounts. Tax amount should be mentioned in the invoice. Invoice valuation means there is a taxable amount on which the tax is calculated plus the tax portion, and if you add it up, this will come up to invoice value. Means invoice value includes all kinds of taxes plus taxable value. Tax rate, CGST, HST, IGST, it should be mentioned as I said. And billing address and information. If one person is billing and it is shipped to other person, if the billing, like when we buy from Amazon and all these things, so any kind of e-commerce operators, it doesn't generally mean that you are paying, you will get the delivery. Sometimes you get the payment and you gift it to your relative. So billing address and shipping address both are different in these scenarios. You should mention this: who is paying and who is receiving the goods. So that place of receiving the goods can be determined. Shipping address and information, same thing. Billing address and shipping address, it can be same, it can be different as well. Signature of the tax invoice issuer or authorized representative. I'll go to the next page. Now, this is an example of how a tax invoice looks. Okay. It's not a government specified, but it is shown for means what details are to be there and to let you know about the general invoice pro forma or format. Okay. First of all, trade name. Second, your business address. Your address means supplier address. Whoever is issuing the invoice, supplier address. Your GSTIN. Then shipping address, as I said, shipping address, billing address can be different. Now here billing address, you can see that bill to and place of supply. Place of supply means shipping address, from where the goods are actually moving or actually going. This is bill to. Bill to means whoever is paying on behalf of him or he himself is paying. Invoice date is there. And invoice number, unique number, I told you about 16 digits. Unique number can be there. There is a limitation of characters on GSTR1 portal. That's why it says 16-digit unique number. Now, description of goods. In this scenario, see like LED lights and bulbs. LED lights and bulbs in this scenario. And this is HSN codes, unique codes of LED lights or bulbs. HSN codes are mentioned here. And this is taxable value, not tax value. This is taxable value on which the tax will be calculated. Like this 8501 is 12% taxable. I'll tell you about. Now, tax head. This is taxable value. The taxable value of the goods is 20,000 rupees. Tax head is IGST, and this HSN is 12% taxable. 12%. So now here you will write tax rate at 12%. It's not mandatory to mention it here. You can mention it only here as well. But one time you have to mention it on your invoice. Tax amount is there. Now invoice amount is comprising of 20,000 taxable value plus 12% tax 2,400, and this is the invoice value. This comes to your invoice value. Okay. Now issuance of e-invoice. This is a concept for you can say that some bigger taxpayers, not very small ones. E-invoice. What is e-invoice? As per Rule 48A, CGST rule notified, registered person shall prepare an invoice by incorporating there is IRN number. I'll explain you regarding this in the later speech. And what main thing is that e-invoice limit mandatory for business with rupees 5 crores. Actually, it is now 2 crores. 2 crores. I might be confusing. Okay, I'll get. So 5 crores. 5 crores is a must. No, if your turnover means turnover means your PAN-based outward supplies. It doesn't necessarily mean if you are having business in Mizoram and you say that its turnover is 1 crore. Why I would be generating e-invoice? Turnover means on your PAN. Let's say there is a business in Assam, Guwahati, other states as well. So their outward supplies also counts. So in 1 year, whole turnover means whole outward supplies for a financial year. If it crosses 5 crores in this scenario, you have to generate e-invoice. B2B e-invoice, sorry. Not B2C. What are the advantages of e-invoicing? Invoice has many advantages. A smooth ITC reconciliation by auto reporting of invoicing into GST. When you issue e-invoice, it automatically reflects in your GSTR1. Okay. Simultaneously generation of e-way bill. It's not like that they will generate e-way bill on every consignment. It means when e-invoice is generated for a transaction or any relevant details from e-invoice, automatically details, item description, quantity, tax amount, every detail, whatever you filled in your e-invoice, pre-filled invoice, the e-way bill system receives certain pre-filled information. Means the portal automatically directs you to e-way bill portal if it's a B2B supplies, intrastate or where e-way bill is required. You don't have to fill any details. It will be auto-filled in e-way bill portal. Okay. So don't have to fill the same details again and again. It will redirect you. Utmost reliability. No need to doubt the genuineness. Actually, you can verify the e-invoice on GSTN portal as well. Now, there is 64 digit unique serial number written on every e-invoice. Every e-invoice that you can verify through the GSTN portal. And if you are a e-invoice user as well, you can log in your ID and go through to verify the e-invoice as well. Reconciliation problems are eliminated. Since every e-invoice is automatically auto-populated in GSTN, it saves your work. It saves your work. You don't have to fill the data for that particular transaction. You just have to fill whatever other goods are there, other sales are there. You don't have to fill that. Documentation become tax compliant. Since it's a system generated invoice, you don't have to manually prepare any kind of challan and all these things. You can just directly take the printout and issue it to the consumer or the customer. Okay. Reduction of processing cost. Same thing. Like no paperwork. You can send the digital invoice as well. Like we all are getting, e-invoices on our mails as well when we purchase any goods from the e-commerce operator, Flipkart, Amazon, anything like that. So documentation processing, improve payment cycles. Since this is a very specific document given to a specific transaction. So it improves payment cycle as well. So filing become easier. GSTR 3B filing become easier. Your recipient get proper, your proper IGC for that. So this improves the cycle of filing as well as the payment cycle. So it helps you run your business smoothly. Now we go to will business now be required to generate e-invoice in GST portal or e-invoice portal or the IRN portal? It is mandatory on the part of all notified person to generate IRN and QR code as detailed above, means by posting the specified information in GST INV1. This is invoice portal. I'll show it to you how to register and how to generate. Means when you generate an e-invoice, it comes with a unique serial number plus with a QR code. A QR code as well. You can scan it to check the genuineness of the documents, whether it's not forged, okay, or you can check on that one as well. Following documentations are covered under e-invoicing: general invoices, credit notes, debit notes, supplier to SEZs. SEZ means specific economic zones. So here there are no specific economic zones. If you are supplying it to some SEZ in Mumbai or Maharashtra, so there it will be required to. It means it can be used e-invoicing or export with and without payment. Means in exports as well, you can issue this e-invoicing as well. Since but still you have to process this export bill. No, it doesn't cover export bill. Export bill has to be, since that's a separate registration for that. You have to get the IEC registration for that, import and export things. So you have to generate that export bill of export, and if you are supplying through ship, then shipping bill. So these kinds of bills are required, plus this e-invoicing. This is a legitimate document that can be incorporated with your supply for any import or exports. Deemed exports, imports and exports. Now, not everyone is eligible. Not every sector is eligible for e-invoicing. Okay, these sectors should. If e-invoice is not applicable to the supplies made by the following registered person. If you are following under this, if your nature of business activity carried out by you is this, you are not. Means it's not applicable for this to generate e-invoicing. Special economic zone units, no need, since this is not a SEZ. Insuring companies, insurers whoever do the insurance. Banking companies or financial institution. Financial institution means NBFCs as well, like other financial Bajaj Finance on all these things, other financials. So it's not mandatory for them. GDS services, goods transport agency, they don't have to generate e-invoicing. Suppliers of passenger and transportation services. Like I said, if you are renting a cab and you are renting it again, these are supplier of passenger transportation services. Suppliers of services by the way of addition to the cinematograph films in multiplex screens. This also, when you are there is a distributor. When you make any film production, you distribute it to the cinema house, and you get the royalty and payment on behalf of that. Okay, so in these scenarios as well, you don't have to generate e-invoice. Person registered under OIDAR. We don't have any online information database and retrieval. These are separate registered. These are separate specific registration. You have to acquire, like when you apply for it, you can say that GST registration. Type of taxpayer you have to select. I'm sure that most of the people here would have selected only regular taxpayer only, not any OIDAR. So here it's I don't think any registration is outside country. OIDAR means whoever supplies outside of the country.
Or if Microsoft is based outside India. Okay. And if they are doing any kind of business here, let's say online purpose, they are selling some kind of software, like Microsoft Office, they are selling from US support. Then they have to take registration in OIDAR that's the GSTR 5, what's it? GSTR 5.
Like when you
So,
for a regular taxpayer,
yeah,
it's a
yeah.
GSTR 3B filing. For OIDA, there are others. Like composition scheme, there must have told you CMT 08, and this GSTR 4, 5, 6. As per the taxpayer, GSTR 7 is filed by the TDS deductors and all. TDS deductor, they have to file. Government department and local authority, they don't have to issue any invoice. We go to process of invoice. I'll go through it very quick. Okay. These are the 6 portals given in https /e-invoice1.gst.gov.in. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 portals are there on which you can be registered. Okay. For invoice. Registration for invoicing. If any of your turnover is crossing the threshold limit for issuing the invoices, means let's say I'll give you an example. Like if you open HTTPS, this portal, e-invoice1 portal, you can Google it as well. So it will show like this, and you can go to this registration portion. Here, registration column is there. After going through the registration, the portal opens like this. Now you just have to enter your GSTIN, have to enter captcha and submit go. Then you can auto fill your data since you have used your GSTIN to log in this update from GST common portal. If you click on that, your detail will be auto populated here. You don't have to fill. The data will fetch from the GST portal. Whatever GST address you have mentioned, mobile number, email address, anything you have mentioned, it will auto fetch this. Okay. And then after sending the OTP, this successful OTP, this thing now you are registered for invoice. You can make you will get a registration. The user